course, you had a busy off season. Just some stuff going on. That's fine. I didn't take a vacation either. It's all good. So what happened is the first time I talked to you, like we sat down and had like a 90-minute interview, and we went through your time with Washington, and they're driving you around and hiding you from everybody and all that.
Yeah.
But we also talked about like Brett Favre. You're coming into this position, and you're like, oh yeah, we're trading a Hall of Fame QB. Cool.
Yeah.
Like that. Thanks everyone. Like this is great.
Yeah.
And now, like this past offseason, we did the same thing. In terms of just for you, like that beginning experience,
Sure.
and now like this last experience, what kind of like lessons was it like, okay, we dealt with this 20 years ago, or we
Yeah.
didn't deal with this 20 years ago, that kind of just like helped navigate through it's a complicated time.
Yeah. No, it is. It's interesting you said it. It's really like history repeating itself.
It's a bookend, Mark.
15 years. But yeah, no, I think obviously there were differences, because Brett had retired, changed his mind.
Yes.
And, Aaron was clear that he wanted to keep playing. I think you did learn a lot. At least I did. It was so early in my tenure. It was like,
Yeah.
And you realize that when you're dealing with MVP, Super Bowl champion quarterbacks, anything that is said or done becomes a huge story. And so
we know.
So I just, and with Aaron, obviously you want to be fair to him. I mean, he's accomplished so much. But just like I think back then, we felt it was time to give Aaron his shot. Similarly, I think thought number one, the time was right. Jordan was ready, and we needed to know is he going to be the next, hopefully
exactly
Super Bowl champion, MVP, Hall of Fame quarterback.
History's been on our side for the past like 30 years, so like it does work.
And but with Aaron, I think I'm really happy for him. I think obviously if you haven't watched Hard Knocks yet, he seems to be enjoying himself in New York, and it's kind of a fresh start for him. And and I think Brian did a really good job in negotiating the trade terms, so that we'll see. I think Jordan's ready, and it's been exciting. I think the team, not only the team, but I think I just sense a level of excitement that we haven't had in years.
It's like you're reading my notes, Mark, because that was going right into the next question. It's like there's a lot of Jordan Love jerseys around here. There's a lot of Christian Watson jerseys around here. And what strikes me is just like the youth of the team. This is a young football team, but it just feels different. Like walking around, like the level of excitement, like Jordan's coming out for family night to just cheers, right? There's like because there's a little like, okay, we've gone through like complicated transitions before, but like it's cheers, like it's excitement. Every time there's a big play, like they're going wild.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, we don't know what we have, right? It's like, it's an empty box. You're like, well, I don't know what's in the box. It could be something really cool. Like, we just don't know. And there's that level of excitement that quite honestly, like we haven't experienced for a really long time.
Yeah.
I mean, to be very honest, I mean, I was a Packers fan since I was 6 years old. This is only the third time in my life that I've been a Packers fan that there's going to be a new starting quarterback this September.
Yeah.
Like that's almost unheard of.
Yeah.
Right. And so to have
how many starting quarterbacks the Indianapolis Colts have had in the last 7 years?
7 now?
Seven and seven. Like, I think that should be a documentary.
That's the next one. Yeah, we're just going to go back into. Well, apparently Phillip Rivers was almost coming back for the Super Bowl last year, so that would have been a different story. But in terms of the excitement that's going around camp, like what have you seen? Because I've seen like you're going to camp and things like that. Just like there just seems to be an enthusiasm that's just in like an electricity that's in the air.
No, I saw it on family night and the joint practices. Here with the Patriots,
a little chippy,
packed. Yeah, it was a little chippy, but turns out fans like fights.
Oh yes, no, they do. Yes, they do.
It's kind of like wrestling.
Yes.
Or ice hockey.
Yeah, exactly. It just puts a little. Well, because I think. There's also been those narratives about the Packers, right? Where you've had the Lions come out and say it, you had the Jets come out and say it, and like they drag them into water and all that. They're a finesse team and stuff like that. Like when you see kind of like those fight, like Elton Jenkins getting into fights like in the Bengals, and you're not advocating and being like, just go out and punch people. But like there is that like, hey, like we're a young, scrappy team, right? And just be like, we kind of need that fire. And I feel like you have that because like you have Jordan, you have AJ, you have Josiah, who are all drafted together, right? Like
Yeah.
you have these guys who are coming in together, and they're young. We have one receiver who's 25. The rest are under the age of 25.
Yeah.
Like this is a young, scrappy group. Like how do you think? Even just in terms of this season, like the identity, is it all just like we're gonna wait and see like what the identity of the 2023 Packers is?
I think that's part of the excitement. Yeah, I think you hit the head. That's the fans. The uncertainty comes with excitement. I think the other thing I've noticed with our team, I think they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulders in that we're picked to finish either last in the division or third, and nobody's given us a chance. I think they want to kind of stay under the radar, but prove people wrong.
Yeah. I mean, because there's lots of people who are writing them off because we don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore, right?
Yeah.
But then there's like, oh no, there's talent on this football team.
I have to give you look at it's kind of unheard of right now across the league. Nor you draft a quarterback high, you play him right away. So, and you look at what we did with Aaron and what we did with Jordan.
Yep.
I think gives them a chance to be successful.
Correct.
Yeah, because you see it a lot. Talented young quarterback plays right away, loses confidence, and sometimes they never get back.
Yep.
So, and there's an old saying in the NFL: the best time to draft a quarterback is when you don't need one.
Correct.
And I know Brian and I think Ted also got a lot of criticism when they drafted quarterbacks in the first round, but certainly Aaron turned out to do well, and hopefully we'll see the same from Jordan.
Because I think what's really nice is like the team has also come to his defense in terms
that
of
has been great.
Like he's like, you don't need to be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Just be Jordan Love. And 5 years ago, we sat, it wasn't this particular meeting room. 5 years ago, we had this conversation. It was like one after the playoff losses. It was like, we rely a lot on Aaron Rodgers. We rely a lot on the quarterback. And we've been doing that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And talking about maybe the identity going forward changes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is, maybe run the ball a little bit more. Or maybe it is like a lockdown defense.
Yeah, so I think it's going to all come together. And we don't need Jordan to play at an MVP level. And, I think particularly early too, and I remember Aaron's first year, he played well, but, I think we were 6-10 and, there were some ups and downs, and that's to be expected. And I think we'll see that with Jordan, but I'm pretty confident in, the players that we have around him, both on offense and defense, that we'll play well. And I think and you mentioned it, it's been really encouraging to hear some of the comments from players that, we've got Jordan's back.